We're starting in grammar on page 61. So go ahead and turn to page 61. Go. Page 61, we're talking about verbs. You guys already know about verbs, like action verbs. Did you already have a question, Tyler?
Yeah, I was just actually wondering on the grammar. It says it's turned in but not graded. I was wondering if you had a chance to grade it yet.
No, I have not had a chance to grade it yet. So when did you
Okay.
turn it in, Tyler?
Like yesterday, I think.
Yeah, yesterday was my birthday. So
Oh yeah,
I was a
true.
little distracted yesterday. But I will get to it. That's on my to-do today.
Okay, I'm not sure if I put everything there. So if I did it, just let me know now.
I will. Okay, I will for sure let you know. I will have you look at it for a little bit today if you can to check those things, but I will for sure give you feedback, so don't worry about that. Okay. Verbs, are action words. We also learned about linking verbs. Those are the ones that link words together in a sentence. Today, we're going to talk about helping verbs. Those are a little bit easier to find because they actually go right next to an action verb usually. So I basically explained what that paragraph says. So I want you to skip down here to where it says memorize it. These are the helping verbs. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been, have, has, had, do, does, did, may, might, must, can, will, shall, could, would, should. That's all of them. Okay. And when you see these words right next to a verb, it's considered a helping verb. So that helps because it's helping the verb it's next to. Okay. So you're still going to mark it with a V above it, just like you've been doing for verbs. And then you're going to mark the subject with an S. In the middle of your page here, here's your example. The princess would steal to get the magic bag. So steal is the verb, would steal. So would is the helping verb. And that just tells it's going to be in the future, probably. When you say would steal, like she would steal it she would steal to get the magic bag. We already know that the princess is a thief. We've been talking about that. And so it wouldn't be past her to just steal the bag. Okay. So that's why we have that helping word would steal. It clarifies the verb a little bit more. So it's helping it a little bit more here. So basically you'll see two verbs like that, VV right next to each other here. Now we're going to talk about the that clause. This one's easy to find because it starts with the word that. It's pretty obvious. It's a group of words that begins with the word that and contains a subject and a verb. It must be added to a sentence that is already complete. It's like a who which clause. Same thing. It's got a subject and a verb, and who which starts with who or which. Same thing. A that clause starts with that, and it has a subject and a verb. So it's pretty easy to find these. Look at this example here. She knew that she wanted the magic bag. Still talking about the princess here. But you see, she knew, and you could ask yourself, she knew what? That she wanted the magic bag. So here's the that clause all the way to the end of the sentence. Notice they wrote the word that above that. I know it sounds redundant, which means like you're repeating it, but that way you're labeling it. So it's showing me that you know what that clause is. It's a that clause. And then you have your subject, she, and then wanted is your verb. If I took out the first part of that sentence and it just said that she wanted the magic bag, that's not a complete sentence. That's why it's considered a dependent clause. It depends on the rest of the sentence in order for it to be complete, okay? And a little note here about commas. that clauses do not take commas. So you don't have to worry about that. Which clauses do. So that's a little bit different here. No need for a comma with a that clause. At the very bottom here is another list just like this one, but it's kind of easy to spot. So what I'd like for you to do, if you have a Post-it note with you this morning, I do want you to label this page helping verbs, because you might need to look back on this when you're looking for verbs in your homework. So remember how we do the Post-it, the sticky parts here on the bottom, and then it comes, it sticks up here. And just write in helping verbs. And what you're going to do, like you did back here for prepositions, you're just going to stick it out at the top like that. Okay, so the sticky part is at the bottom. So basically your Post-it note's upside down. And just write helping verbs there and then stick it up at the top if you have those with you. If you don't have them with you right now, you can do it after class. That's fine. That way, in case you're like confused and you're trying to find a verb and you're not sure where it is, you can use this list to help you find it. Okay, let's move on to the practice page. And William, can you read our sentence today, please?
The second soldier remembered that he had told the story of the bag to the princess.
Good, nice reading. And the word is remembered. The vocabulary word is remembered. Basically means to think of something again. You know what that means, right? Comes back to your mind again. Okay, so put a check by vocabulary. Your articles, there's 4 of them. Go ahead and find them by yourself and label those. They're all thes today. Did you notice that? The. Got that? Tyler, when you're ready, tell us where the 4 nouns are.
Soldier,
Good.
princess,
Yes.
story,
Yes.
and bag.
Yes. Good. Excellent. Nasaya, where's the pronoun?
He.
Good. He. And we're talking about the soldier for that one. And then go ahead and find the adjective too, Nasaya, since that was so short. So what you're going to do is look for a noun and then look before it to see if there's a word that tells more about it, like which one or how many or what kind. You see it, Nasaya?
Second.
Say it again.
Second.
Yes, that's it. Good. You got it. That tells which one, the second soldier. Very good. And then William, we're going to come back to the prepositional phrases. So I recommend you guys skip that in your homework until the very end and then come back to it. So William, where is the that clause?
After that,
That, and then where does it end?
princess?
Yes, good. The whole rest of the sentence. That he had told the story of the bag to the princess. You're right. Good job. And don't forget, we write that on top of it because we're labeling the clause. Good. How about Tyler, back to you for verbs. Now remember that clause does have verbs too. So go ahead and find the action words or helping or linking verbs in here.
Okay. Remembered.
Good, yes.
He? No,
No.
I mean had. Had.
There you go. Had is one. That's a helping verb.
Told.
Yes. Excellent, Tyler. Good job. That's all of them. Remembered and then had told. So Nisaya, now for the subjects, you're going to ask yourself who or what. So who remembered in this sentence right here?
The soldier.
Good. So that's the subject. And then within the clause, who had told?
He.
Good. Yes. Now, this is going to make it way easier to find the prepositional phrases. And there's two of them. So, William, do you see the two prepositional phrases here?
Off the bag.
Of the bag. Good.
And to the princess.
And to the princess. Awesome. So remember, we don't have anything on top of or to. So that's your clue. That's why we save it till the end. Because it's the last part that doesn't have a label. And then it always stops on a noun, mostly. Okay. Sometimes it'll stop on a pronoun, but of the bag and to the princess. Those are the prepositional phrases. Good job. Tyler, what about the capital?
The.
Good. And then Nisaya, what goes at the end?
A period.
Good. Excellent, you guys. You did that fast. That was good. That's it. And then after class later, you can rewrite it down below. And then as usual, your homework is the next 3 pages. So 64, 65, and 66. Good. Super, super happy you guys are getting that. I don't know if you remember, but at the very beginning of class, when we first started together, you were like, wait, what's a noun again? What's a pronoun again? Wait, what's a prepositional phrase? And now you're just like, boom, 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 boom. I love it. Okay. Let's see. What are we doing today? We are, yes, we are done with week 7, but don't put it away yet. What I want you to do, you know how you have your banned words list? It's that blue page. It should be in your front pocket with your week 7 stuff. I want you to get that up first.
We're talking
Yeah.
about the banned words.
Yeah, we're going to add to this today before we put it away. Okay.
Okay, holy cow, I was editing my paragraph. I was writing my paragraph and I used so much say, said, seesaw. I had to
Oh,
go
yeah.
It
It's
took so
hard.
long.
It gets harder because then it's like, it's natural for you to say said, because that happens a lot in the story that you guys wrote about. You guys, what story was it? Oh yeah, why opossum has a bare tail. So he's talking to the raccoon. They're talking back and forth. Yeah, it makes it really hard. Well, I hate to tell you this, Tyler, but we're adding more to your list. So you should already on yours, you should have say, said, and seesaw. Is that what you guys have on your list? Okay. Well, I want you to add, and they're kind of big words, so you'll have to squeeze them in this little box, but you're going to put think / thought. Think, thought. Let me zoom in a little here so you can see that. Try to squeeze it in that box if you can. Yeah, so think, thought, you're probably thinking right now, why is that a banned word? It's a good word, think, thought, right? I mean, it's a good word. Well, sometimes we overuse it, sometimes. But the whole reason for having these banned words is to challenge you to widen or broaden your vocabulary. Because the more vocabulary that you get used to using, the better your writing gets. I'm telling you, it's like, it really like beefs it up is the first thing that comes to mind. It's like, it makes it so much better. So think about think and thought. That happens inside your head, right? It's not verbal, like say, said. So can you think of another word that we could use in place of that? Anybody have any ideas yet? Okay, Nisaya, what do you think?
Realized.
I love it. That's perfect. Realized. Good. That happens inside your head. You're like noticing something and you're realizing that. It could be decided. Or another one is knew, K-N-E-W. I knew that. I like to use past tense because most of the time we write in past tense. There are times when we will write in present tense, but not very often. So that's why I'm choosing to just focus on the past tense words. Can you think of any, William? No, he's like, no. By the way, if you have a thesaurus at home, like a, it's like a dictionary, but it's basically telling you ideas of other words. Uh-oh, I think my battery just in my
Can you hear me?
died.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what was that, Tyler? Sorry.
My audio just cut for like 5 minutes. Is it okay if you repeat like everything you just said?
Oh my gosh. I was wondering what was going on. We're just basically brainstorming, Tyler. You didn't miss much. I just basically said my battery on my vest, because you know how when you get something new that has a battery, it's just like partially charged. So that was like a teaser for me. But anyway, we're brainstorming together of other words that we can use in place of think or thought. We decided on realized, decided, knew, believed is one. I'll just help you guys out with this list. Hoped. And I was just also mentioning, Tyler, that you can use a thesaurus at your house, or if your parents are okay with you looking it up online, you can Google what's another word for thought.
Yeah, I heard was the last word I heard was think, thought, realize, and then it just went out.
That's okay. That I pretty much caught you up. That's what we've been doing, is brainstorming together. Remembered. These are kind of big words, so you have to squeeze it in. Concentrated. Okay. And I'll stop there. But just remember, there's a lot more than that. So if you don't like any of these when you're writing your story, then, look into the thesaurus. But also just a reminder that these are strong verbs. So you can underline these if you use one of these in your stories as a strong verb. There's one more we're going to add here, and it's go/went. That's a tough one. We tend to use that one a lot. Nisai's like, great. How am I supposed to come up with stuff? I know. It's really challenging you. But that's the point. So what can we say instead of go, went? Any ideas? Go, went. It's okay. I know it's early and everybody's tired, so I'll help you on this one too. Left, like we left on a trip. Instead of we went on a trip, we left on a trip.
This is going to be like a big word. Well, not too big, but it's got a couple words. Can we just say like he was on his way?
Oh, yeah. On his way, or on his/her way, in case it's a female in the story. Yep, that would work. Walked. We walked to the store instead of we went to the store. We walked to the store. What else, William?
Ran.
Ran, good. Nasiah?
Sent.
Oh yeah, I like that. Good, I like it. Sent. Rushed, like we rushed.
Travel.
To the appointment. Traveled. Yep. That's an E, by the way. Traveled. Okay, that's a pretty good size list. I'll leave a little space here in case you want to add a couple more. That's fine. And look them up if you need to. Remember, these are strong verbs now. So if you use one of these, you can underline it for your strong verb. All right. Now I'm going to have you put this away. This is your banned words list. There is a tab in your binder that says banned words. I don't know if you've seen that one yet, but it's toward the back. So I want you to keep this back there. And that way, when you're writing, when you do your homework and you look at that banned words list and you're like, oh man, I have all these banned words, go to that tab and use this list. It'll help you. Okay. So it's back here. I'll show you on the back here called banned words. This one. Put it behind that tab. Stick that blue paper right there. Okay. And then you can go ahead and put away why a possum has a bare tail. Put it behind finished compositions. And just a little quick reminder that if your binder is getting too full, if things are starting to pop out, that happens sometimes, you can take out your finished stuff and put it in a different binder or a different folder. That way it frees up space. Don't take anything else out though. That's the spot you can remove if you need to. So go ahead and
where do we put the checklist and just all the drafts technically?
All the drafts, the checklist, the original story, everything goes behind finished compositions, okay? So what I like to do is put this one on top of the stack. This is the overview page. And then behind that, it doesn't matter what order it is. But basically, you want everything behind finished compositions.
Are we going to continue on the dress ups this week?
Oh, yeah. Those never go away.
Oh.
But we're not adding any new ones, if that's what you're wondering. They're going to be the same.
Okay.
So when you get that put away, go ahead and go back to the front of your binder behind source text, and you can get out week 8. There's a bunch of pages. There's 5. Week 8 is called the Little Red Hen. So go ahead and get week 8 out. And you'll need a lined piece of paper. And once you have all that out, go ahead and give me a thumbs up so I know you're ready. Good. Thank you, Nisaya. All of week 8, which is, you'll see a yellow page in there and a pink page and then some white pages. Go ahead and get them all out till you see week 9 and leave that there. And a piece of lined paper.
It's under stylistic techniques or source text?
Source text. At the
Okay.
beginning, source text.
The Little Red Hen?
Yep, the Little Red Hen, you got it. There should be 5 pages you take out. And then don't forget a lined piece of paper too. You got it, William? Not yet? Okay.
How many pieces of lined paper?
Just one today. Got it, William? Good. Okay. I know you're still getting your paper out there, Tyler. We're just going to look at the yellow page first. This one. This is page 63. So this is just review. We've already talked about this before, but they put it in a little chart or diagram for you here so you can kind of visualize it. But basically, we're still in Unit 3 and we're still retelling narrative stories. So we've been doing this for King Midas and Why Opossum Has a Bare Tail. And now we're going to do the Little Red Hen, same thing. Okay. We're going to talk about these 3 parts of the story. This is the story sequence chart. That's what we've been doing, the SSC for short. The first Roman numeral, this is a Roman numeral 1, even though it doesn't have the top and bottom to it. It's just the font is a little different. But we talk about the characters and setting whenever we retell a story. That's what happens first in the first paragraph. And then they have a nice list of questions here. It's more than what we put on our chart usually. But basically, we're talking about who is in the story, what are they like, when does it happen, and where do they live or go? These are what we focus on in the first paragraph. Now, in this story, it kind of looks like Robin Hood, but I'm not sure. He has a bow and arrow and he has a hood over his head. So it reminds me of Robin Hood. But look at the middle part here. This is the second paragraph. That's supposed to be a Roman numeral 2. We always talk about the conflict or the problem in the middle of the story. Usually that's what happens. Remember when we were talking about Kung Fu Panda and we talked about the Mario movie? So usually there's a problem. Usually there's a bad guy in a story and they want to take over, take charge or control and whatever. So we talk about what do they need or want? What do they think? What do they say and do? So in this picture, you can see there's a battle between these 2 characters. They're on this, I don't know, bridge, I guess, like a narrow bridge, and they're battling with these long sticks. So that's the conflict, right? They're having a fight. For the third paragraph, this is Roman numeral 3. This is when you talk about the climax and the resolution. This is when we don't really know what's going to happen next, right? It's kind of the reader is left with, are they going to die? Are they going to drown? Are they going to be okay? Are they going to win and be victorious? That's the climax. We don't know. Remember, we drew that little mountain and the guy at the top was like, if he goes this way, then, it's bad. If he goes this way, it's good. And so we don't know. Obviously, in this little picture here, this guy, maybe Robin Hood, I don't know, he falls in. And it turns out that he ends up helping him after all. So maybe he had a change of heart, kind of like King Midas when he realized, everything turning to gold isn't all that it's cracked up to be. He said, okay, I needed to change my ways. Maybe this guy decided, you know what? I don't want you to die, so I'm going to help you get out of the water. So basically, you're answering these questions in the last paragraph of your story. How is the need or problem resolved? What happens after? What is the message or the lesson? And then you have a little note down here about the title rule, because you got to remember to create a new title for your story when you get to this point. Title repeats 1 to 3 key words from the final sentence. So this is basically just a diagram to help you remember the order of retelling a story, okay? Now I want you to look at, or does anybody have any questions about this page? No? Look at the pink page next. This is page 67, and it is a handy dandy LY adverb list just for you. Look at all these LY adverbs. And you have to have these in your paragraphs, like from now until we're done with this class, like forever. Okay. But look how they gave you a nice list. This is going to help you. Notice there's a bunch of blank lines on here. That's for you to add to this list as you come across LY words and you go, wow, that's a good one. I want to remember that LY word. Go ahead and write it in down here. So this is going to help you a bunch when you sit down and write your paragraphs. So for this week, you're going to keep it in the front of your binder with everything else you're working on for the week. But eventually we're going to keep it in a different spot in your binder, and you'll get used to turning to that spot when you're ready to look for an LY adverb, okay? So use this list. It's nice. All right. Now, let's get out a clean sheet of lined paper. Next. I like it when they give us lists. I don't know about you, but it helps me because sometimes I kind of get like, they call it writer's block. Has that ever happened to you where you're writing a story and then all of a sudden it's like you go blank? It's like, I can't even think of anything good to say right now at all. Yeah, I see you nodding. Like, I know you know what that is. So it'll help having these lists, and you'll get more lists as we go, which is nice. So go ahead and put your name. Today's date is 11/30. Man, did you know that tomorrow is December 1st? That's crazy. I feel like we just celebrated 4th of July. Time is going so fast. Okay, so skip a line, and the title is The Little Red Hen. Notice that each word is capitalized. So that's something we're going to talk about more and more, is how to write a title. Titles should be capitalized. Sometimes little words that are not keywords are not capitalized, but always the first word is, and always the last word is. And then any keywords in the middle, all of those are capitalized, okay? And we're going to put SSC because we're doing the story sequence chart. I know you guys know that. We just talked about it. Okay. And you probably remember how to set this up, but skip a line and a little bit to the left, a little bit toward the holes on the left side, you're just going to draw a line down almost to the bottom of your page. Doesn't have to be perfect.
So I actually put my holes on the right-hand side, so can I take a little bit to the right of the...
I would still, it's okay if it's backwards, but make sure keep to the left, even though that's not where the holes are. Because this side needs to be smaller than this side. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes. So I can still do that. But...
You can still do that. Yeah, don't worry about it. You can still do that. And then on the right side of the line, this is where we're going to start building our outline. And this time I'm going to have you write 1 through 4. And then skip a line, Roman numeral 2, 1 through 4. Skip a line, Roman numeral 3, 1 through 4. If you need to extend your line down, that's okay. Okay, one last step is to draw your lines across. So right on top of the Roman numeral 1, just trace that line. And I always go a little past the red line because I want to give myself plenty of space. So right on top of the Roman numerals, draw that across. And then wherever your line ends at the bottom, now you got a chart. I saw your comment, Tyler. Yeah, I do feel like it's gone fast. But it's so weird to me. I literally feel like it was just a few days ago that we were celebrating 4th of July. It's so weird. Anyway. Okay, I'm going to ask you, and you can raise your hand if you remember. We just talked about it, so hopefully you remember. What goes in this first box? What do we usually talk about first when you're retelling a story? Okay, Tyler, what goes first?
Who, what, where?
Okay, but what do we write up here at the top? Do you remember the words?
Characters / setting.
There you go. Oops, my pen decided to just be a mess. Huh. Okay, characters / setting. You got to squeeze that in there. And then you're right. Who, not what though. It's who, where, and when. I know that on the yellow page, it has what on there too. But in our box, it's mostly focusing on who, where, and when. So basically, we're going to tell information about the characters that are in the story. Now, this week, we are only focusing on the first paragraph. So you can be like, oh, okay, good. We don't have to write 3 paragraphs this week. You're only writing the first one. So what I want to do now that we have this all set up, I do want to read the story next. Because it's kind of long. I don't know if you noticed that, but it's got 2 full pages. Pretty long. Probably the longest story yet so far. And what we're going to do is retell this story, but in the end, when you're all done with it, sorry, I'm distracted by your notes, Tyler. It's true. When you get older, the time does go faster. It is very true. Okay. But even though this story has, I don't even know, probably like 6 or 7 paragraphs, in the end, we're only going to write 3. But this week, you're just focusing on the first paragraph. So I'm going to read this story, and then I want you to be thinking about who the characters are, what the setting is, and when, if there is that. Sometimes stories don't really tell us when, but focus on who the characters are and where are they. And I'm going to go ahead and read this, and you can just follow along on yours as I read it. It's called The Little Red Hen. This part here says, abridged from an 1818 telling by Florence White Williams. That word abridged just means like it's basically retold, right? Or it's an excerpt. I don't know if you've heard of that word before, but it's like it's coming from an original story, but this is one of those stories that's been retold over and over and over again, and it kind of changes a little bit the more it's retold. Okay, so this is originally from 1818. That was more than 200 years ago. That's a long time ago. So keep that in mind. Some of the words you might hear in here are different than what we use now, but it's because it's written a long, long time ago. Okay. A little red hen lived in a barnyard. There you go. There's already the setting and one of the characters. She spent almost all of her time walking about the barnyard in her pickety-peckety fashion, scratching everywhere for worms. As often as she found a worm, she would call chuck, chuck, chuck to her chickies. When they were gathered about her, she would distribute choice morsels of her tidbit. A little busybody was she. Okay, I'm going to pause there for a second. So that kind of sounds different than what we're used to, but the word distribute is like handing out. It's like if you're playing cards with your family and you're passing out the cards, everybody gets a card. You're distributing the cards, right? She's distributing choice morsels, which is food for the chicks, right? Of her tidbits. So they're like little pieces of the worm, basically. So she's finding these worms, and then she's passing out pieces of the worms to all of her little chickies. That's what that means. A cat usually napped lazily in the barn door, not even bothering herself to scare the rat, who ran here and there as he pleased. As for the pig, who lived in the sty, he did not care what happened so long as he could eat and sleep. So a sty is basically like a pen where the pig lives. And usually it's dirty, it's muddy. I raised pigs before. They make a mess. They're not called pigs for nothing, all right? They're pretty stinky and dirty. They love the mud. So, okay, so we got some more characters coming in here. One day, the little red hen found a seed. Carrying it about, she made many inquiries as to what it might be. She found it was a wheat seed, and that if planted, it would grow up, and when ripe, it could be made into flour and then into bread. She called loudly, "Who will plant the seed?" Okay, so already we know this is a make-believe story. It's fiction because we have these animals now that are talking, and she's getting ready to plant a seed. So yeah, this is not real, just a made-up story. But the pig said, "Not I," and the cat said, "Not I," and the rat said, "Not I." "Well then," said the little red hen, "I will." And she did. Then she went on her daily duties through the long summer days. One day, the little red hen chanced to notice how large the wheat was and that the grain was ripe. So she ran about calling briskly, "Who will cut the wheat?" The pig said, "Not I." Cat said, "Not I." And the rat also said, "Not I." "Well then," said the little red hen, "I will." And she did. She got the sickle out of the barn and proceeded to cut off all of the wheat. Okay, a sickle is like a curved shape knife, basically. It's pretty big. Sometimes people use it to cut down weeds, or if it's overgrown in their area, they just cut it down. Tyler?
I feel like the animals are taking what do you call it? Advantage of the little red hen.
I got that feeling too.
Because they're all saying "not I," and so the little red hen has to do it.
Yeah. So she does it by herself. Yep, you're right. That's exactly what I'm thinking.
And since it says "who will thresh the wheat" at the bottom of the page, I haven't even flipped the page yet, and I assume that the little red hen is going to do it.
Good, Tyler. You're right. She called out, "Who will thresh the wheat?" Okay, so thresh means to separate the pieces of wheat from the stalk and from all the parts that you don't need. Because on a wheat stalk, there's a lot to it you don't eat, and there's just the wheat part that you do eat. So you just are separating it out, basically. So she's asking who's going to help her do that. Let's see what happens. But the pig with a grunt said, "Not I." And the cat with a meow said, "Not I." And the rat with a squeak said, "Not I." So the little red hen, rather discouraged, it took her a while, but she's discouraged now, said, "Well, I will do it then." And she did. "Who will carry the wheat to the mill to be ground?" And you probably know what that means, but with wheat, because it's a seed, you smash it and twist it and get it. There's a mill, that's like a factory that does that with machines, and it turns it into a powder like flour. Okay. Turning their backs. Now they're getting pretty dang rude, because they were already like sassy, right? But now they're turning their backs. How rude, right? With snippy glee, like they're just little snobs. The pig and the cat and the rat said, "Not I." So the good little hen could do nothing but say, "I will then." And she did. Mrs. Hen retired to her slumbers earlier than usual. That just means she went to bed. She would have liked to sleep late in the morning, but as she opened one eye, she thought that today the flour must be made into bread. So after her chores, she hunted up the pig. I don't know why she keeps going back to them because, she keeps having hopes that they're going to help her. The cat and the rat, still confident that they would surely help her. She sang out, "Who will make the bread?" Pig said, "Not I." Cat said, "Not I." And the rat said, "Not I." So the little red hen said once more, "I will then." And then she did. She set the dough, kneaded the bread, divided it into loaves, and put them in the oven to bake. While the cat sat lazily by, the vain rat powdered his nose and admired himself in the mirror. Okay, so now we know a little more about the rat. Powdered his nose, that's kind of an old-fashioned term for like makeup. I know he's a boy mouse, but even the boys back then, like George Washington days, they actually powdered their faces so that it didn't look sweaty. And they even powdered their wigs to make them look white. So that's kind of normal, but basically meaning he cares more about how he looks than helping hen. So another word for it is vain, right? He's vain. And in the distance could be heard the snores of the dozing pig. So the pig's just being a pig snoring now. At last, a delicious odor was wafted upon the autumn breeze. That word wafted is basically when a smell, like if your dad's barbecuing outside and you're outside riding your bike or whatever, and then all of a sudden you get the smell of the barbecued hot dogs and you're like, whoa, that smells so good. I'm so ready for dinner. It's wafted. It like carries in the breeze. That's how it was for the bread. And I don't know if you've ever smelled home baked bread or cookies or anything baked. It's pretty amazing. So they smelled it. And then the hen called out, "Who will eat the bread?" Uh-oh. All the animals in the barnyard were watching hungrily and smacking their lips in anticipation. And the pig said, "I will." And the cat said, "I will." And the rat said, "I will." But the little red hen said, "No, you won't. I will." And she and her chicks ate the bread. Phew. I was going to be mad if they all got to eat the bread, after all that. So
That's what they get for taking advantage of the little.
that's right. And she was probably like, "Oh, this bread is so good. Yummy. I love this bread. It's so tasty." And they're over there like, why didn't we help her? Why didn't we just help her? All right. So back to this. This is a pretty obvious question, but Tyler, who is the main character of this story? Who's the story mostly about?
The little red hen.
Yeah, the little red hen. So what I'm going to have you do is circle the LRH, and we're just going to refer to her as LRH, and that way you can remember what that stands for, Little Red Hen. She's going to be the first character we talk about. So Tyler, thinking about her in the very beginning, tell me a little bit about her character. What is she like? What is she doing in the beginning of the story? You can look back on it if you need to.
I think she's like, okay, well, if you guys don't want to do this, I'll do that, and then maybe you guys can do the next thing.
Yes, that is true. And then at the very, very beginning right here, she was just minding her own business, right? She was just busy taking care of her chicks, getting the worms. Like she was just being a hen in the beginning. So I would say she's busy and she's taking care of her chickies. Busy care chickies. This is before she finds the seed, right? This is just her being the little red hen that she is. Because we're going to lead into what happens when she finds that seed, and that does come later. So keep that in mind, Tyler. So Nisaya, now there's other characters that come in. Who is the next character that comes into the story? Nisaya.
The cat.
The cat. Okay, good. And tell me a little bit about the cat. What is that character like in the beginning? Lazy. Yes. Lazy. And what was the cat doing in the beginning? That second paragraph right here, when you introduce the cat. That's for
Napping.
Yeah, napping. So I'm going to put napped or napping. Let's put napping. You could say was napping, and that makes it past tense. Good. Okay. And then William, who is mentioned next after the cat in that story?
The pig?
The pig. Oh, well, the rat is mentioned in there too, but it doesn't matter what order you mention them in. So we can talk about the pig next. That's okay. When you're retelling the story, it's okay if you want to change that up a little bit. So tell me about the pig, William.
Sloppy.
Cocky, is that what you said?
Sloppy.
Oh, sloppy. Yes, sloppy. And what does the pig want to do?
Just sleep and eat.
Just
being lazy.
Just being lazy, right? So we could put, I'm thinking maybe we put eat, and then maybe we could put some Z's.
He wants to be lazy in the mud pit.
Yes. So, like I said, I raised pigs before. And you can't just put a bowl of water in there like you could for a dog or something like that, because immediately they will knock the water over and it'll just make a big muddy mess. So you have to have this special kind of watering thing. I don't know if you've ever seen, like for a hamster or a guinea pig, there's like a little a bottle, and then it has like a little spout on it, and then they just nibble on the spout. It's like that, but it's connected to a hose. So it has a little lever on it, and when they bite it, it squirts water in their mouth, and then they can drink it from there. And it's supposed to keep the pen cleaner. Well, my pigs, they would go up to that and just bite it, and it would shoot through their mouth. Like they would just bite the end of it from the side, and it would just go psh, out the side of their mouth. So it just made their whole pen like a giant mud bath. And then, especially in the middle of summer when it was warm, they would lay in that, and you would just see like their head, like the rest of their body was inside the mud. That's how muddy it was in their pen. It was funny and not at the same time, because they also pooped in there, and then they laid in it, and there was flies everywhere, and it was like, oh my gosh, you guys are disgusting. But they were kind of cute at the same time. So anyway, doing what a pig loves to do, eat and sleep and get sloppy. And then who's the last character, Tyler, that we have in this story?
Let me check real quick.
Mm-hmm. It's in that second paragraph. It's actually after the rat. I mean, oh, I just gave it away.
Oh, well, rat.
Silly me. I knew you figured it out, though. So tell me.
That was a quick answer.
What do you know about the rat? In that second paragraph, it only gives you a little information, but what could you say about the rat?
He was just not wanting to do anything.
True.
Most of them, except the little red hen, didn't do anything.
Exactly. It does say right here, he ran here and there as he pleased. So another word for that would be like carefree. Have you heard that word before? Carefree just means like he doesn't care about anything. he's just going to run over here, and then he's going to run over there, and he's just going to go on with his happy little life. Doesn't care about the hen needing help, doesn't care about anything else. So that word carefree would be a really good one to describe. It's an adjective. It would describe that rat. He's carefree. And I would say, what is a word, Tyler? Let me see if you can come up with a word to describe, like, he thinks he's better than everybody else, right? He thinks he's like, I don't have to help you. I'm just gonna take care of myself.
Maybe selfishness.
Yeah, selfish. Anybody else think of a word to describe him? I was kind of thinking of the word like proud. Like, not proud like you're happy that you got a good grade. It's more like, I'm too good for you. But selfish is also good. So you guys can pick which one you want to use. Nisaya, did you think of something else?
Needy.
Needy, yeah, maybe. That's true too. So you guys pick whichever one you want to put here. I'm going to put proud, but if you guys like needy or selfish or whatever other word you can think of, put it in there. And then, Nisaya, where are they? Where did it say they are in this story? Because we need to make sure to mention the setting.
Barnyard.
Yes, that's right. Barnyard. And then, before we move into the next part here, which is going to be the conflict and the problem, Nisaya, what does the hen find?
A seed. A wheat seed.
A wheat seed. Good. Let's put that. Wheat seed. Oh, I forgot to put, let's put LRH. I'm just going to squeeze it in right here. LRH, wheat seed, because she's the one that finds it. Okay, so we've got our first paragraph ready to go. You guys are going to write the paragraph. Let's take a peek at the checklist. I know it's late, but look at the checklist really quick. You've got your title rule. Don't worry about that yet, because you're only going to write the first paragraph. So just leave a space for the title. And then look down here. You've got your 3 still. ly adverb, who, which clause, and strong verb. So 3 words underlined in your 1 paragraph that you're going to write this week. But notice the banned words. We have more. Say, said, see, saw, think, thought, go, went. When you get to that point of writing your paragraph, go to the banned words tab and look on that blue page to help you come up with different words, or look online if it's okay with your parents. And you're going to write just the first paragraph this week. Okay, guys? Any questions about your homework? You're good? All right. That's it for today.